Hey, welcome to Fat Mascara. I'm Jess.
I'm Jen. Hi, everyone.
Hi. All right, listen. This is an audio. Most of you are probably listening to this on audio. We're not doing YouTube right now, are we?
We're on YouTube, but audio only.
Okay, yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, it sounds like a really compelling content right now. Wow.
It is. A lot of people like to listen on YouTube because they can have it going on their computer and just like over in the corner. So we're everywhere.
Sounds great.
We're omni-channel.
All right. Well, anyway, my face is quite red right now. It's like blushing. It's like rosy. It's like
You're having a strawberry girl winter is what it looks like to me.
It's more like radish girl. Like
I like it. A winter vegetable. Keep going.
Yeah. Anyway, I had a Fraxel last night.
Fraxel. Is that like Target of Target?
Yes, I had a Fraxel. I'm a big fan of Fraxel. Some people, it's funny, when I talk to different derms and estheticians, I feel like it's very polarizing. Some people are like, it's too harsh. And then some people feel like Fraxel is like the holy grail. I've had it a number of times. I really like it. I feel like in a few weeks, your skin really, you see a difference. I want to be full disclosure here. Did I say the R? Full disclosure here. This was a comped treatment because it is a treat treatment. It is a treat treatment.
Yeah.
But it really gets the discoloration off. It's kind of like,
it's a non-ablative resurfacing. Just for people who want to know. Yes.
It's not gonna you're not gonna look like Samantha Jones in Sex and the City when she's going to the book party.
Winter.
You're just gonna be really rosy and a little roughed up skin for a while. But it also helps plump collagen. So I've only gone to Dr. Paul Jared Frank for my Fraxel. I trust him, but a Fraxel in the hands of an untrained person or somebody who's really loosey-goosey.
Please see our episode, Med Spa Mayhem. Thank you.
Go to somebody who's good, who you trust, who you know somebody else has done it, because it is a very powerful laser. So I can understand why people have some trepidation. But he's good. I'm excited to see the results.
Yeah, you get immediate results once the redness goes down, but then like 2 months or I would say like 2.5 months later, I got it once. Your collagen kind of kicks in. You're just like, I almost forgot. I was like, wait, why am I looking really nice? And I was like, oh, right. 3 months ago, I got Fraxel. So it's like a double whammy.
Something I said to him once, though, was like a year later, I was like, it came back. My spots came back. And he was like, it's not forever. He's like, nothing's.
Oh, right. Because of your freckle, like you have a freckled skin. So you have a really good way of telling how long it lasts.
Right. But everyone, like if you're the kind of person who gets Fraxel, let's be real, you're not like never going back to the derm. You're that kind of person who's taking care of their skin. This is like a high investment treatment. This is not like a one and done thing. This is like people get these Fraxels like yearly. It's not like a forever solution.
Like I got mine before my wedding and I haven't gotten it since. So it was, yeah. I've seen prices like it's usually around starting at $2,000, I would say, for just if people are curious like how it goes. And it's so much more effective than those laser facials that are like $400 and they just kind of hit you with a little IPL and I don't know what's happening there.
And then they ask you to come back again.
Yeah. One Fraxel is like, I know they say 3, but like one Fraxel will do you.
Yeah. No, you don't need to come back.
Especially for skin, I think like yours with, right, like some of your freckles go away and
then they come back again, yeah.
Oh, do they come back in the same spots? I've always wondered this about freckled skin.
Yeah, but then they come back in the same spots.
Like there's Bob and he's back and he's below my left eyelid corner, you know?
Yeah, and then I get new ones. But the thing is, I'm not trying to have freckle-free skin. Like, that's not my skin type.
I'm just curious, because I don't have freckles, how that works.
The aim is not to have freckle-free skin. And by the way, this conversation is getting a little too boring about freckles. My point is not to have freckle-free skin. My point is just to have a little bit more clarity. And then Fraxel also helps with, I left out fine lines, and it also helps with collagen. So it's just an overall skin glow up, but super helps with clarity and and darkness and, you know, luminosity and all that good stuff. But again, a treatment, heavy on the treat.
Before we get into the news, quickly, we had someone write in and I wanted to see if you have an answer for this person.
Let's talk about, I love our like eagle eye makeup freaks, okay? So Ismaya, some of you may know that Ismaya, we talked about her a billion times on the show. You know that I'm like a huge fan of her makeup line. She is expanding her reach and she is going to be in Sephora. That's kind of massive because her line was super niche. You know, I've been like banging the drum that she's at Moda since launch. That was like a huge, exciting thing, at least for me. Well, actually, and her clients, because she was like one of our top brands, and I'm sure will continue to be. But she is now going to be at Sephora. So that's big because Sephora is massive. And one of our eagle-eyed listeners wrote, with the new core collection, well, she kind of implied core, which is like Ismaya's new line, arriving at Sephora, will the existing Ismaya color collection be phased out? Well, Ismaya's color collection, like her whole ethos was she dropped these collections like they were fashion collections. Like, I remember when she came out, she was like, why do we have to do a makeup line that always looks the same? Why can't we do it like fashion? Like a designer reinvents themselves every collection. Like they could be a little prairie girl one season, the next season they're like goth princess. And it's totally new packaging, totally new imagery. And like, to be honest, I have no idea how Ismaya did it because it was like completely new molds every time. And like a mold, you could just picture what a mold is. Like the packaging had absolutely no consistency with the previous season's, like the previous season's packaging. That's a ton of money to like create a mold, like gobs of money. And then to do all new product, like it just looked like a different company. And that was sort of the brilliance of it. If she's going to be in Sephora, which has like hundreds and hundreds of doors, this is me saying this, not Sephora, I cannot imagine how you would keep up that business model. It just doesn't make sense. And also appeal to a huge audience if you're doing something like the first collection, which was all about BDSM. How is that going to work?
Yes.
Right? The second collection, which was like this Vegas show, rodeo showgirl, that was brilliant. I could see that appealing to a Sephora customer. She has no shortage of ideas. She's an incredibly creative person. She could appeal to everyone, I think, from a grandma to like a tween. So I think she could do anything, but I'm excited to see what happens. Now, to answer our poor listener's question.
Yeah, go on.
No, I'm getting to that. I asked the Ismaya team, and she said the core line is going to incorporate many of the staple Ismaya products, such as the lip lac and the bombs. They're going to be rehoused in new packaging. And P.S., this is me talking now. I saw them. They're in new packaging. They look like very similar. You won't be disappointed. Please watch this space for color. So my suspicion is there's going to be it's going to be a little bit of a half and half. I also would seriously watch eBay for
if you want those
some golden oldies.
Yeah. So good point.
And Moda, because we still have some.
Toot that Moda horn.
Yeah.
Thank you for the listeners. I mean, we've been getting voicemails, we've been getting DMs, we've been getting texts. In fact, if we go do the news, we're going to do something a little different, and we have a very interactive listener moment. So, all right, let's get into it. Okay, so our conversation about the Sephora tweens, I'm just calling that the conversation, but we know it's about the birthday parties at Sephora, Gen Alpha getting into makeup and anti-aging skincare. It's continuing. In fact, there's a new legislation that was just introduced in California. A representative there, Alex Lee, Democrat representing District 24. Okay, hi, it's Future Jen, who is editing the episode. Just jumping in here to say we're about to have this conversation about Alex Lee, the assembly person, and this bill in California. I misgendered Alex. Alex is a he. So as we continue the conversation, I just keep saying she, and then you're just going to know from now on that is incorrect. Sorry, Alex Lee. Okay, let's get back into it. Don't know if you're in District 24 in California. She brought a bill to the floor. She would like to propose banning the sale of anti-aging skincare to children. And what she wants to ban specifically, just before we talk about this so we can all understand, is the sale of products containing vitamin A and its derivatives. So that would be retinoids and the like.
All the retins.
All the retins. Alpha hydroxy acid, including glycolic, ascorbic, citric, which I was like, okay, ascorbic is vitamin. But anyway, so the acids and the retinol, basically.
Okay.
And she in her release, she said, the beauty industry is cashing in on the, quote, Sephora Kids phenomenon, where children are buying and using anti-aging products. And she wants to stop that.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex Lee. I have thoughts.
Okay. Go ahead.
I understand the concern, but I think she's missing the point. First of all, we can't get legislation to get like healthcare for children in many places in the United States. So we can't get legislation for things like that are like really important. This feels like it's a Band-Aid just showing her constituents, I care about the issue, but I don't think it needs to be legislated. For me, this isn't the place to have a conversation and come up with guidelines that work and whatever. It's not the courts and the legislators. Also, think about a preteen that has acne and might very well need a retin A derivative to deal with pimples. So the fact that she's calling it anti-aging skincare says to me that there's just so much nuance. Like I don't think all the kids are going in there because they want to look younger. They're going in there because it's fun.
Do you feel like her heart's in the right place?
Yes, but I just don't think it needs legislation. And I'm like, we already have like a lot of legislation that's just like, what? No. Anyway.
I think it's complicated. I think that she's trying to like stop the madness. I think that like the fact that most adults don't even know how to use a retin A.
Yeah.
Literally, like really intelligent adults, really intelligent women do not know how to use. And this is not like, and they don't even know how to use a retinol. Like, it's complicated. I've burnt my face off with retinol.
Yeah.
So selling it in a store where, when I was 11, I got dropped off at the mall by myself. You know what I mean? Like, and here's $20. And if I'm like, cool, this hot pink and lime green, I'm gonna buy this. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying maybe we should not sell this to kids under 15 or 11 or
couldn't a retailer though put in place a guideline?
They could, but it's not in their interest.
Of course, they want to sell products. Yeah.
It's not in their interest.
But to me, it's like the parents should be the one to decide whether they buy it or not.
Parents are so busy.
I know.
Parents don't know what's in their kids' backpacks. They don't know what's in their kids'
But it's not simple like a tanning bed or a cigarette or something that like is very clearly bad for a child because these ingredients
because of the acne and stuff, right?
Well, the acne was one point of it, but it was also like it's so far-reaching in the way it's worded. I feel like it oversteps.
No, I understand the nuance of if your kid has acne, it's like, well, are we going to start regulating? Like, I'm dating myself, like Stridex pads. You know what I mean? It's so vague, and there's so much wiggle room. Like, what is anti-aging? Like, who is to decide? There's so much gray.
Yeah, because you might just put on, maybe there's like, I don't know, a sunscreen that happens to have vitamin C in it, which a lot do. Vitamin C and the acids, citric acid and ascorbic acid, are on this bill. Of course, I would like a child to be using sunscreen. So now you can't buy that sunscreen because it has those ingredients. It's just, rather, I wish that like the retailers and there was a conversation and people were just teaching about these things, or perhaps the makers of the products could say, intended for, age X and up. Which happens in other categories.
I think we are so far from that.
No, we're not. We're starting the conversation.
Well, we're starting.
Right. Because the Personal Care Products Council can get involved and say, sure, like we talked to our members about particular products having not a warning on them, but maybe a warning.
I think brands need to, any brand who wants to be seen as a thought leader right now, and that is such a kind of corny term, like we're a thought leader in this space, but like any brand who wants to be taken seriously as being responsible for young people's beauty journey from the day they pick up their first cream to seeing them through, the rest of their lives, it would behoove them to put some sort of label or get in their face on TikTok or whatever social platform they're using and really educate them and not just try to keep selling them stuff.
Right. But you're agreeing with me then, because then it's on the people making the products, the retailers, people like us talking about the products, not the government. Like, what?
Yes. But right now, we are both living in a very optimistic space. But I'm hoping. Are you listening? I'm hoping that the retailers will step up, and a lot of them are.
Yeah, they're part of this conversation. Yeah.
I mean, this was not an education play, but like what Kiehl's did was beautiful. Like a couple years ago, it was like the only anti-aging cream kids should buy. And it was like kids like eating ice cream, or the only 10-step routine kids should learn. And it was kids doing ballet. I think they were acknowledging where kids and beauty, what that relationship should be. I could see them as their customer, who knows what their plans are to address that market. But like, how would they educate that customer? Who knows what Drunk Elephant's I have no insight into what Drunk Elephant is planning, but what is their plan as we're having this conversation? Or I'm sure they're very well aware of the news item you brought. What is their plan to educate customers who are 12, 13 about retinol? Maybe they have one and I'm just not aware of it, so I welcome them to inform me. But it's all really interesting, and it's like we got a lot of feedback from the listeners about
this whole conversation, which we'll get to. I will say this legislator brought similar legislation last year to the floor, and it did not pass. So I don't think this is going to pass. And sometimes a legislator does this to make noise, to show their constituents who they got some calls from parents, like, listen, we're caring. And here we are talking about it, which is what I want to happen. Everybody have a conversation about it. But like, if this passes, what? This isn't the way forward. But let's see what our listeners think about this whole thing. Mostly,
Jen, what if we were legislators? Like, what kind of crazy things?
I don't wish that. It's what a thankless job. Like, thank you to our representatives, truly, truly.
I wish I was a legislator. I would bring the most wild things to the floor.
But they're expected to be, because I can see also like a personal care products council coming in, but then an angry mom coming in, and they have to become experts on these things that you and I have been researching and involved in for 20 years. And we still know there's nuances to it. Like, to get whoever has the last person that talks to the legislature, they're like, oh, maybe that's the truth. And then they bring a bill and it doesn't get to all the details. And when we talk about sunscreen a little bit later in the news, you'll see exactly what I mean. But first, let's get our listeners in on the conversation. We haven't done this in a minute, but we have a couple listeners to speak with. They are mostly responding to the Sephora birthday parties conversation, but it's all part of the same thing. So the first one up, let's hear from a listener from South Florida.
Hi, this is Monica calling from Florida. And I had forgotten about this experience and your recent podcast on Tweens, Sephora parties, etc. reminded me that I did this. I am going to be 35 years old this year. I was born in 1990. And at some point, probably between 2000 and 2003, I went to a Sephora birthday party in Miami where I grew up. And it was a friend from childhood, and the party was taking a limo, like a black stretch limousine, from her house to the mall, Dadeland Mall, shout out for folks from the area, and getting a little makeover at Sephora and eating at Cheesecake Factory, maybe. And it was so fun. And I think everybody participated, and it just wasn't really a thing. It was just a fun, let's sit at the beauty counter, somebody touching your face. We probably had like hair glitter in, and that was it. And we just had lunch and went home, and the limo was part of the experience. But it was kind of a fancy birthday party, I guess. And I don't know how much it would have cost or anything for the beauty counter experience, but it was a really fun memory that the recent conversation jogged for me. So all of this to say, Sephora birthday parties apparently not that new, or my friend was really ahead of the trends 25-ish years ago. Anyway, thanks for the pod.
First of all, I have to mention, by the way, thank you to our listener from Florida. You can always say your name if you feel like saying your name. I don't think a lot of people do. And if you get cut off, I just realized our voicemails are only 3 minutes. Call back and I'll edit it together. But here's another listener with a similar experience telling us this is not a new phenomenon. So this is a listener from California.
Hi, Jeff and Jen. I'm calling about the Sephora tween birthday party phenomenon. And I'm 31. So, I'm not Gen Z, not Gen Alpha. I'm on the younger end of millennial. And when I was in middle school, my friends and I would go in Santa Monica to the 3rd Street Promenade Sephora. We'd just go to 3rd Street Promenade. That was the place to hang out Friday night. And we'd all go to the Sephora and just use all the samples and put on all the makeup and just, it was really fun. We all wore makeup in middle school, but it was different than it is now because we were bad at it. Contouring didn't exist. It was very much like Urban Decay, bright, 5 different colored eyeliners. You draw a little heart on your temple with the eyeliner, like crazy. Urban Decay was very big, just like those eyeshadows, all the different colors. So it just felt kind of different because now, I walk around and I see these little middle schoolers and they look like 20. They're like hotter than I am. And I'm like, this isn't good. Like that isn't good. That is children sexualizing themselves and people sexualizing children. I don't think that's good. And I don't think the birthday parties at the store to buy things are necessarily good either. I feel like things are a little different now because of the style of makeup is trying to look older. I was in middle school in 2005, 6, 7, 8, those sort of years. And scene was really in, like not emo, but scene with the big teased hair at the leg. That sort of makeup was very popular, and it's not attractive. It's very, very fun and artistic, and definitely not sexual or making you look better, I think. So I think there's kind of a big difference is the style of makeup. The makeover birthday party, we didn't buy products at the end. I do think the consumerism aspect isn't great. But then who am I to talk? We go to Build-A-Bear. What's that? Buying a teddy bear. That was really fun though. Loved Build-A-Bear. Anyway, I think Tweens going into Sephora and playing with all the samples has been around since at least 2006 when I would go do it.
Okay, she does have a point, but I'm not sure if it's like a generational thing that like the looks have changed.
Listen, I don't think she's wrong.
Yeah.
But I also know that 30 years ago,
they probably thought that was sexualized.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like every generation's idea of what is too much shifts. Whether it's one way or the other way, I don't know. But like it's in context of the current generation. And it's like, sure, if you put that girl back in the 1950s, I'm sure everybody would be appalled. The girl with like a full face of makeup at 12 or whatever.
Right. But like, you can't deny that things do change from generation to generation.
Like that meme we always talk about, like me at 12, teenagers now at 12.
Right. And yeah.
They have like, they're doing a full-on dance choreographed with like a hot outfit. And we were like singing into our shoe in front of a mirror,
with braces and like, buck teeth and a sweatshirt with puffy paint. Yeah.
But again, the point being like, okay, she's 31. So this has been going on for a minute. This is not a new thing. And we here at the media are like, it's a new thing. And it's not a new thing.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. I love this. Let's keep it going. We have a listener from Portland.
Hi, Jess and Jen. This is Oriana in Portland, Oregon. I'm really out of my comfort zone here, leaving a voicemail, but I do enjoy hearing the listeners talk on your show, so I thought I would try. I am calling to add to the conversation about the Sephora birthday parties. I am a mom of a 10-year-old girl, and I also am an esthetician here in Portland. I have a facial practice. And my issue really with the Sephora parties is less about kids experimenting with skincare and makeup, which I think can be fine, but it's more the issues with consumerism and wealth inequity. And, like that tween age is really, I've noticed when kids start comparing themselves to their peers and really noticing what their family can afford versus other families. So that's the part that makes me more uncomfortable. I know this is a little ironic coming from someone who gives facials for a living. I've thought a lot about this. I haven't really come up with a clear answer, but in the meantime, girls got to make a living. But anyway, I did want to offer sort of an alternative because I know a lot of people can't afford to give their kid a Sephora birthday party or even to buy skincare products for themselves, much less their child. So a few months back, my 10-year-old asked me to give her a facial. And we've tried this in the past, but she was just too little and she would just kind of wriggle off the table. It didn't really work. But this time she really wanted one. So I took her to my work and we did like a little play acting where I pretended like she was a real client and brought her in for the facial. And it was just the sweetest experience. She just loved it. I just did a really gentle facial massage, a little arm massage, a little hydrating mask. She fell asleep on the table, and it was just like a very, very, very special moment. I kind of teared up. I was like, oh, how many more times am I going to be able to do this with my kiddo, you know? And so it kind of gave me an idea that what if instead of these Sephora birthday parties, you did like a little facial birthday party at home, dim the lights, turn on some calming music, maybe make some spa water with the kids or whatever that means, and put some pillows on the floor, do just little massages on each other's faces. You can just get a bottle of like jojoba oil or grapeseed oil, sort of making it about human touch, self-care, human connection, and less about consumerism of the whole trend. I also just wanted to quickly say that I really appreciate you guys. I've learned so much from your podcast, and I love your new hosts, Garrett and Julie, as well. And if any of you are ever in Portland, please hit me up for a complimentary facial just to thank you for everything that you've done. And you have my info now, so you can reach out. Okay, sorry, so long-winded. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Caller. First of all, I'm coming to Portland just to get a facial. Okay. But also, I've never been to Portland and I really want to go. Love Portlandia. Such a great show. Okay. Sorry, it is. That was such a great show. We used to watch it all the time. Okay. You really struck a nerve. And I feel like you crystallized something that I could not put into words. I think we definitely talked about, and if we didn't, shame on us, like the consumerism and stuff. And I mentioned, like, forget about the kids. Some parents might not be comfortable. And I mentioned different values and things. But I think what was missing was something that was actually quite glaring. And that is this issue of the consumerism, but the wealth inequality. And one of the things that really appealed to me about beauty when I was growing up was that it was democratic. And something I always like to say is like beauty always fits. And it's not only in like a size way, like I loved fashion growing up, and I actually thought for a minute I was going to be in fashion. But there was something about fashion, as much as I love it, it can feel very exclusionary. One, it's just like the size thing. Fashion also has a little bit of an air that can make some people feel like they don't totally fit. But also it can get very expensive. Beauty, for me, when I was younger, I was like, okay, I may not be able to buy the fashion I want. When I was growing up, everyone, not everyone, but it was like a lot of people had like the Kate Spade bag. I'm putting myself in a very specific space and time, and even some little Prada bag. But for me, that wasn't something that was ever in my future. But I could go to CVS, call back to a couple episodes ago talking about the magic of the drugstore, and I could use my spending money or the money that I earned from
$5.
$5, bam, I am right on trend.
I have a cool dark brown lipstick.
Yep, I'm in the moment. Or I was, working a lot. I went to Nordstrom and I cleaned up at the mat counter. You know what I mean? And I have the best you can buy.
Yeah.
And there's something about beauty that, like, the ceiling, at least in my mind, now I know it can get real damn high, like C. Fraxel. But like in my mind at 15 years old, the ceiling only goes so high. Beauty is like $100 is as big as it gets in my small 15-year-old mind. And it wasn't about acquisition. It was about just experimentation and like self-expression and pampering yourself. And, she mentioned
and
connecting.
The touch. Yeah.
The touch, connecting, having a conversation at the counter, little pots of little curious things. It wasn't this collect them all. Do you have what I have? It was different. And I know I sound like a little fuddy-duddy, but it was different. And now it feels like, I don't know, I think it's because the industry blew up, which is a good thing for beauty, but it feels like it exploded into this very luxury moment.
I have to think that...
Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that part of what that is the influencer economy, because...
Yes.
Now what we share is where you learned about trends, like you'd see it in a magazine, you'd cut it out and you'd put it up. Or even on social media when it was like the friend next door on Facebook talking about just vitamin C in general, not a particular product, or let's do face masks. And now almost every piece of information that a person of that age gets on social media is branded content, whether or not it is noted. The way these people make money and are able to make videos and make the things that your kids want to watch on YouTube and TikTok is because brands pay for them. And whether they realized it or not, once they let those brands in to be the money behind the content that they're producing, because they're not journalists and there's no ethics in that. Not that there's no ethics, but like that's how the economy works.
Yeah.
It infiltrated and it became consumeristic because every video that was cute and talks about how to apply black eyeliner now ends with a try this one code below. That part of it wasn't there before.
Yes, it was more like magical.
Even
and
early
like,
YouTube, I would say, was still that magical place. Like Michelle Phan era when it was like, I'll teach you how to do this, but like not everything. She just loved it. It wasn't that she was getting paid to promote, you know?
people also sometimes use this term, Jen, and I'm curious, do you agree with this or not? Okay, because I'm actually not sure if I'm buying into what I'm saying right now. But like,
Let's test it
people
out.
Yeah,
Like my friend Clayton. Let's throw it at the wall. We'll see if it sticks.
Let's throw this at the wall, see if it sticks. People say, and it's been like this for a while, top down is over. It used to be top down, like the journalist, the director saying, this is how it is. This is the mascara of the moment. No one wants to hear that anymore. But I really liked, or even pretend Michelle Phan. I know she had a conversation with her listeners and that was very special, or her audience. But it was like, she's the expert. The beauty director was the expert, or the person on QVC was the expert. And now that's so outmoded, right?
Mm-hmm. You're the expert.
Yeah. Or like there's billions of experts on TikTok, okay?
Everyone's an expert.
Everyone is an expert. There's no more authority. But I really liked just tell me what to do. Tell me what the color is. Tell me how to put this
you
on.
did like that.
I did. Like as a young person and before I got my...
So how's that different than what's going on now?
Because now it's like, I feel like there's 80 billion...
Oh, there's too many tell me what's to do.
Yeah, like it's...
I think I learned something and then I go to the swipe up and then the next person is saying something completely opposite with a whole different product.
Right. It's like, and it's not like I'm a moron or I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. But it's like there's no sort of... It's almost like there's no one in charge. It's kind of like the world today. It's like there's like no kind of calming sense of...
There's no guardrails or like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
a lot of noise.
Chaos and noise.
Yeah. It needs a tight edit. It's just likes to say,
I like a tight edit. I would like Linda Wells at the beginning of Allure being like,
yeah.
Here I was with Kevin
But that's
Aquan.
not how young people think about information. Also how truth. It's like, well, my version of truth and your version of truth. There's no one truth anymore. It's just not how information's disseminated.
I didn't know if I thought it was truth. I just wanted like, tell me in a form.
Right. But I'm just equating it to the way we think and the way how we think about communication has changed because of social media. She brings up a lot of great points. There's one more caller I do want to play. I want to keep talking about this, but obviously it's a conversation that'll be ongoing. So you can continue to call in, by the way.
You mean there's no one truth at the end of this conversation?
Sorry, guys.
Hate this place. Okay, go on.
646-481-8182. Okay, one more caller. She's from an Illinois area code, but I don't know her name. But she was talking about something, Jess, that you brought up about how we approach girls who are wearing makeup. Okay, let's listen.
Hi, Jess and Jen. I am listening to episode 565, and y'all are talking about first or early encounters with beauty and being shamed by adults in your life. And I had a similar story. My godmother was an Avon seller growing up, so we had all of this fabulous product that she would occasionally give to me. And I was about 11 when I remember having these beautiful pastel, light blue and light pink, sparkly, creamy, glittery eyeshadows. And I layered that stuff on. And looking back, it was definitely way too thick and kind of disgusting because I didn't know what I was doing as a 11-year-old. And my mom was trying to convince me not to wear it and brought in other moms of other children in the school who she knew I liked in the hallway to try to get me to change my mind, which of course just made me double down because I was embarrassed and ashamed and also definitely not going to do what I knew that they wanted. So it was an interesting topic, and I just wanted to reach out and say, gosh, I think that is maybe a more common experience than I would like for it to be. And I have a daughter now, so it's making me think about how I want to treat those situations in the future. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Wow. I love that also she's a mother now. It's so funny when you remember a thing your mom did and then you now are the mother and you're like, am I going to do it the same way or am I going to do it different? I don't love that happened to you. I'm sorry.
To me or the girl who
To
called?
the woman who called.
Oh.
And you too, Jessie, little Jessie. No, it's the same thing because she related to what happened to you with the shaming of, I don't think that's the way to go about it at all. But look at you. You have a daughter now and you'll do it the way you want. Oh, it's so loaded, this whole conversation.
I wonder if the woman, if it was, I'm giving this woman like the shamer, like the benefit of the doubt, and I don't even know why.
Well, it's the mom had the friends of the other moms in the school. You know, when you like recruit and you're like, Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, well, Sue's mom and Mary's mom say the same thing. And not only that, then it was like Sue's mom and Mary's mom trying to make the case to this girl.
And she's going to remember that for the rest of her life. And it's like,
right.
I feel like they do that sometimes to protect, like they do it to like protect, like they don't want the child to be like embarrassed.
And they also want to be like, it's not just me. This is how other moms are doing it. Like, you're not alone in that, you know?
But it's like, it just makes the girl feel bad. It's so bad.
Yeah. I think it's so important for the children in this whole conversation to have their own say. In fact, I should point out, Lexi's working on a project where she is talking to Gen Alpha about how they use makeup and skincare. So we're going to get some voices from younger people into this conversation too, and we'll keep going. For now, moving on, we have two other things to talk about. Speaking of legislation. So, Jess, I know this is near and dear to your heart.
This story sucks. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
I cannot be like impartial. I'm sorry.
Here we are in the United States. The FDA has confirmed in a story that was just published that they will be requiring animal testing for sunscreens.
Oh my God.
This happened in a piece that was published in Beauty Matter on February 18th. U.S. FDA spokesperson, unnamed, was quoted as saying the following: "The FDA,
unnamed. You know,
well,
why
they're always.
unnamed?
I've had FDA spokespeople before, and I know their names and I have their emails, but they have to be quoted as just like generic,
of course. So they don't have like
So here's what they said. The FDA routinely evaluates drugs that are absorbed into the body to ensure that the benefits of these products outweigh any potential risks that result from absorption. In short, the current science does not allow for the replacement of all animal studies with non-animal methods. This is because current non-animal methods cannot reliably predict effects that may occur through complex interactions between the drug and the human body. As a reminder, here in the United States, the drug in question is sunscreens. They are an over-the-counter drug. So, wow. I reached out to the FDA, of course, to confirm this is still their stance. And I also spoke to some scientists about this. This was published in February. One of the people actually quoted in the article told me they were interviewed in December. So my guess is that is also when the FDA spokesperson was interviewed. And we now have a new FDA commissioner coming in, so things might change. However, what I hear from people on the street is that no, this is currently, for at least the next 4 years, the stance of the FDA. However, it's wrong. It's straight up wrong.
Wait, are you saying it's incorrect, or you're saying it's
absolutely
wrong?
Incorrect? They are incorrect to say that you cannot tell the safety of a product.
Yes, okay.
In any other way except for animal
And are you
testing.
saying it's wrong according to Jen Sullivan, or are you saying it's wrong?
Yes, but also some scientists I'm about to quote for you.
Okay. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Well, first of all, I had talked to cosmetic chemist Krupa Kosteline about this a while back, and she gave me a plethora of different tests that can test for carcinogenicity. I can never say that word, but whether or not a product will cause cancer, and also hormone disruption that do not use animals, which involves testing on tissue cultures, 3D printed organelles, AI-assisted computer modeling. And then I called up Jeff Brown. He's a senior scientist at PETA, so he works with people in the FDA all the time to help advance the science that does not use animals. And here's what he had to say. There's not a single regulator in the rest of the world that says that, what the FDA said. There are no companies that say that. It's just the FDA. I imagine every sunscreen maker is probably lining up to speak with the incoming FDA commissioner so that they're aware that this position that you just heard about in that quote is a problem. Because I don't think it costs the FDA anything to just collaborate on a solution. What it feels like they're doing is insisting that this is the way forward and then not allowing commentary, just trusting that people won't push back. He went on to tell me the sort of the consensus around the world, the best way to test for safety is called WOE, weight of evidence, because not any test could have a negative result. What you want is many, many tests and lots of historical data to show you whether or not an ingredient is safe. Because if you just cherry pick one thing, whether it's an animal test or not animal test, you're getting a snapshot and you can see a confusing moment. This is why also we don't cherry pick studies. We look at the whole weight of evidence together. And all of the weight of evidence does not need to have animal testing in it. There's so many other ways, he said, that we look at. And in fact, if you just look at an animal test, he mentioned this one test for cancer that they used mice for over the course of many years. There were a lot of problems with the data, and he worked with people who saw that data and said, you can't just take that one study. So he went on to explain that people inside the FDA, for example, those working at the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, that's called CDER, they've published reports that say, especially for the tests evaluating sunscreen ingredients that are thought are being tested for carcinogenic properties, that the multi-year rodent tests they've seen are not helpful and they would prefer a WOE approach. My last quote from Jeff, just so you know, because you're like, why would they do this? Well, here's what he thinks. So I think that what you're seeing now is that you're looking at an instance where the scientists within this division of the FDA are saying one thing, but then the public face of the FDA, the senior leadership, is saying another. He says, there's no way everyone at FDA is really thrilled about this. It seems like the issue is being kicked down the road and people who are saying, let's get companies involved and in a 5 to 10 year process. And then you know what? My successors clean up the mess when the data comes back or whatever, let them figure it out. So basically saying the FDA knows that it's messy, knows that they need lots of testing, but instead is going to insist on these animal tests because, by the way, they take about 3 to 4 years to complete one animal test. So we won't even get the data back for another 3 to 4 years, which means the whole thing is just on hold. And while that all happening, by the way, there's MOCRA and a lot of trying to be a lot of like reform within the FDA and how they test sunscreen ingredients. But this basically puts everything on hold.
Wait, so is he saying that they will do animal testing?
Right now, that seems to be what the FDA wants. And whether they want it because they think that's really the most helpful for consumers, or whether they want it because, you know what, if we ask for animal testing, that means a couple more years where we don't have to actually figure this out and issue guidance on ingredients.
I get it.
But like in other countries, this is not how it happens.
Yeah, I also reached out to Vicky Katrinak. She's from what was formerly known as the Humane Society of the United States. For all of our knowledge, they are now known as, she's the director of animal research and testing at the Humane World for Animals. So yeah, they changed their name recently. She also took a similar stance. She said there's already extensive safety and efficacy data on sunscreen ingredients derived from decades of human use and historical animal.
I didn't get that. Yes, preach.
Yeah, decades of human use and historical animal testing. She said if the FDA determines that additional information is needed to confirm safe use parameters for UV filters, the agency should prioritize non-animal testing methods to generate human-relevant data. And she said, echoing what you're saying, animal studies are inherently limited in their ability to accurately reflect human responses to sunscreen exposure, and as such cannot reliably assure human safety.
They're not even good tests.
Yeah, so like, I can just see people nodding their head, being like, well, you know what? It's got to be tested like on animals because they test medicine on animals. Like, I've heard the most cockamamie things over the past few years whenever I stick up for like no animal testing. And they're like, well, I won't even get into it because I don't want to like derail this conversation. They're not accurate tests.
Yeah.
They're not accurate tests.
They're part of, if they were done in the past, that data should be part of the way we look at them now.
But now they're not necessary.
Well,
they're not necessary.
Exactly.
And they're not helpful.
Well, the other thing is, I asked Jeff, so what can you do? Because a lot of people want a animal-safe, cruelty-free sunscreen, and what are they going to buy? Obviously, titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, which already have the generally recognized as safe stamp on them, if you will, you could pick those because they'll still be able to get something like a PETA certification. But if this goes through, PETA is going to have to pull its certification on any of these other sunscreen ingredients, which are usually the chemical filters, and that's going to be problematic. And Jeff was basically telling me, like, call your legislators. Because the reason this is this is sort of skating by is because most people don't pay attention. You can very much call your legislators and say, I don't think the FDA needs to be doing animal testing. And if we make enough noise, I guarantee you they're going to pull back on this.
I'm going to ask Vicky what we can do. Sorry,
you call your legislators. Call your legislators if you're in the United States. Sorry, if you're not in the United States, we have a lot of British listeners and Australian listeners, and your governments clearly do things the better way. But I'm working on a story about this, and I am doing some more reporting, so we'll keep filling you in. But if you saw that and you were very confused, rightfully so, you should be confused because what's going on?
The whole thing, just like my last 2 cents, I think the whole thing is gross. The whole thing is backwards. And no, it is. It's gross.
I know.
It's backwards. And the past year, and especially the past few months, but especially the past year, I just feel like there's been such a deprioritization, but just a flippant, honestly, F you to anything that has to do with animals. And it's so interconnected, and I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
We'll keep reporting on this. I agree. It's just, and when you get down to the facts, it's just plain wrong. So I can't stand that. Let's end on a high note here.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Another conversation that's like a Fat Mascara favorite, chocolate brown years.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, fine.
Oh yeah, cool. I just saw this story come out and I was like, I have to tell the listeners about this. The masses are finally in agreement with us, something we've been saying for years. This was a new article that was just published on Friday in Vogue by Anna Morales. She was talking about 2025's trending eyeliner flatters those in their 20s and those in their 70s. Jess, Matlin, guess what color it is?
Could it be chocolate brown?
That's right. So makeup artist Raquel Alvarez is quoted as saying, black creates an aggressive visual contrast when you put it next to your eye, and you want something softer, if you will. The article suggests Chanel's Stilo waterproof and Brune Agape. Agape?
I don't know.
Sorry, French listeners. What's your dark brown, Jess? Do you have one that you like to go to?
I was using for so long Clinique. Oh my God, the cream eyeliner. I don't know if they make it anymore because I used the same one for 10 years, but Clinique had the best cream eyeliner.
In a stick.
Yeah, just okay. Cream. Yeah, and it was a dark chocolate one. I think it may have been called something chocolate.
That's so funny. I was going to mention the Bobbi Brown gel eyeliner, and it's actually called dark chocolate ink. Except what I really want, and listeners, you can help me out with this, is a liquid eyeliner and a pen that's dark brown, because I've tried all the browns so far of the liquid eyeliners, and they're always too reddish brown or medium brown. I want that black mixed with brown. So
that sounds good.
I know. I've tried Charlotte Tilbury, Urban Decay, L'Oreal. But the one I just noticed, NYX, they just expanded their waterproof liquid eyeliner line to have both 2 shades, milk chocolate and dark chocolate. So milk chocolate, I think, is what I don't want. I'm going to try it anyway, of course, but dark chocolate. So I think we have to update. It's not just your chocolate brown years. It's your dark chocolate brown.
Wait, I've got it. Okay, ready? It's the Clinique Cream Shaper for Eyes.
Yes.
I found this in my 20s, okay? So I used it when I was 26 is when I started using it, because I remember where I got it.
Yeah.
It's $25. Clinique, can you send me one?
You're not going to find it. What's the shade? What's the shade of the cream shaper?
I also used to use Egyptian, but I don't want Egyptian anymore. It's Chocolate Luster.
Chocolate Luster.
Yeah, Cream Shaper for Eyes. It's got 469 reviews on their site, and it's got 4.5 stars out of 5. Shapes and defines with intense stay put color. And it has a little bit of shimmer. It's a creamy, smooth pencil. It's very creamy, guys. That's also good if you are truly in your chocolate brown years.
Yeah, your lash line is not
crepey.
Smooth as
it's
it
loose.
Once was. The dark chocolate needs to flow smoothly.
like a fountain.
Like a fountain of dark chocolate at a very fancy hotel. Just lushly falling over
at a
your
Swiss
eyelid.
hotel.
In my head, it was Hershey in Pennsylvania, but sure. We could go to Switzerland. I've only experienced a chocolate fountain once, and it was
Geneva.
At Hershey. Oh, you had one in Geneva?
We were in Geneva.
That's good chocolate right there. Not that there's anything wrong with a Hershey's special dark or milk chocolate. Anyway, I'm updating I'm updating our statement. It's entering your dark chocolate brown years, everyone.
Dark chocolate. Let that flow, baby.
But also, by the way, if you have a dark chocolate brown liquid eyeliner, call me. Okay.
Liquid.
Let's go raise some wands.
That is definitely, I don't know if I've seen one.
That's the darker. Yep, exactly.
Like a dark, yeah.
All right. Well, the listeners are on it. Call us 646-481-8182. Okay, it is time to raise a wand. Our listener inbox. Maybe if I delete old voicemails, they've been cutting off after 3 minutes. So
Delete
I just
the
wanna
old
say-
ones.
I know, but I love all our listeners and I want them in my memories forever. But a listener who is a pharmacist called in and wanted to say, so I just want everybody to know, I hear you, pharmacist. I heard you rant. She called it a rant. But basically, she was talking about how her job has gotten so much harder because of EBM Medical, which is a clearinghouse, and like the lack of transparency in pricing. So she has to like watch her pharmacy losing money over certain prescriptions that she's filling. And there's just not time to deal with the rest of the experience. She also wanted to point out when we think that a CVS is like a non-personal interaction when we buy stuff. She's like, at my pharmacy, every interaction, even when you're buying something that's not a drug, is very personal, which I get.
So
I think
she
we were
works at
talking
like a non-.
it sounds like and I think we were talking about those self-checkout, which is like at every store now, not just pharmacies. But I want to let that listener know, I hear you, I heard you. Couldn't play your voicemail because it got cut off, but I do have Flo from London instead. Here's Flo.
Hi, Fat Mascara. A long-time listener, first-time caller here, Flo in London. I really loved hearing you speak about the Stella fragrance. I used to wear it in sixth form or high school, and I really, really miss it. I remember my best friend went off to university, really missed her, and I was envious of her newfound friendship with another girl. I visited and found out she also wore Stella, and it all made sense to me. I don't have any left to smell, but I just spritzed myself with a quarterly Rose Divine in a pharmacy, and I'm not sure if it's totally accurate, but it did really take me back and give me that feeling and remind me of it. So if people are looking for a relatively affordable option to try, bring that nostalgia, that might be a good shout. It definitely has that sparkle to it, especially on first spritz, and has the same rose amber combo, so worth a shout. Other shout outs for products I've recently been enjoying are the L'Oreal Paris True Match the One Concealer, which I got ages ago and is a bit of a rediscovery, and I don't think it's spoken about very much. It wears really, really well. It looks great at the end of the day. For context, I have light skin with pink undertones, and this is a good option that doesn't pull too yellow. And if anyone's listening is from the UK or is visiting, I really want to shout out Super.
Flo, I'm going to check that out. It's so funny. The Stella thing really hit a chord with people because I've gotten a number of DMs about Stella. I think we're all mourning original Stella.
Yeah.
That fragrance was so powerful.
The replacement she mentioned, if it was hard to hear, I believe it's Caudalie Rose Divine. If you're in the United States, the Caudalie line of perfumes, there's like 6. They almost look like body mists, kind of.
Yeah.
They're not easily available. But I found the one that I have is $40 at Walmart, weirdly enough, walmart.com. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. But if you're in Europe, like a lot of listeners are, those are pretty readily available in the drugstores, actually. That's not an expensive perfume. It's like a Eau Fraiche. Eau Fraiche?
Eau Fraiche.
Which I think is just like the fancy version of way to say a body mist. But thank you for
Caudalie
that
does nice work with their scents.
Yeah, I wonder why they're not bigger. Body mists are so hot in the United States right now, too. Get on that, Caudalie. Expand. Give it to us.
Can we also just talk about why? Well, I don't know. We need to have somebody to come on and really talk about unpack. We need to do like a mini episode on Stella. No, we really do. We need a whole.
Do you know? Okay, we'll look into it and who the perfumer is. I wonder.
Yeah, it was under YSL when she was under YSL. That whole brand, the whole beauty brand, is so enigmatic, shall we say, to me. So if anyone's listening from Stella, who was really like enmeshed in that brand, please reach out to us because it keeps coming up with our listeners, and we need to talk about it. We need to talk about Stella. Okay, what's your raise a wand?
So also to Flo, thank you for the L'Oreal Paris True Match recommendation.
Oh yeah,
so, just a reminder, everything's always linked in the show notes. You go ahead and click on that.
This was a drugstore moment.
It was indeed. It was indeed.
Okay.
I am raising a wand. I can't even find it because it's like traveled with me everywhere. So I might be in the latest coat. To Winky Lux's Pink Lemonade Lip Balm. What a delight. Just what a joy this product is. It's in a little rose gold bullet. So you know how the Winky Lux ones, they're like,
Of
they
course,
just look
yeah.
adorable like a capsule. And then it's a flat top lip balm with 3 stripes of color. So it just feels like a candy, like a pink, a yellow, and a white. It goes on. I don't like menthol in my lip balms because I think it's drying, but there's some sort of fresh sensation to it that is not drying. And it gives ever so slightly the like barely there pink. It might even be a pH kind of triggered pink tint. I'm just obsessed with it. It's adorable. Winky
It's
Lux.
sparking joy.
It's sparking so much joy. And don't we need that if you've listened to this episode, which got very deep. But give it a little joy. Have the pink lemonade lip balm. I love it. Raise a one.
I don't think, Jen and I were talking for a second offline. I don't think that she said, I don't think anger is a place to like operate from. Or what did you say?
Oh, about animal testing?
Yeah, because I was pissed.
Yeah, I said, I don't remember what I said, but I was like, okay, I know you're angry, but like, what else? What can we do? Like action, not anger. Whatever.
I think anger is a great motivator.
She disagreed strongly with me.
I think anger is, as long as you're not like punching walls or like harming somebody.
But I came around because I was like, you know what? You're right. Here I am trying to be rational and factual and lay out the science and lay out facts. And yet I notice in the discourse around the world right now, what makes movements, what gets things changed, it's not rational discourse.
As long as we're not, as long as you can't like infringe on anyone else's rights, though.
That's true.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
true. Bring your anger. Keep your anger just at.
Keep your hands to yourself, guys.
And keep the anger. Just generalized anger is okay. Not towards one particular person or group.
Or
maybe.
group.
Yes, that would be a good generalized anger. But you're right. I don't know why I keep thinking that rationality and like facts will win the day. When clearly they do not.
Grab your Winky Lux bomb and take
get
to
mad.
the streets, Jen. Okay?
This is how we affect change.
Okay.
And she's right, though. If you're calling your legislator and you're like, here is, the weight of evidence approach and here are the studies. No, you got to be mad and be like, it's 2025. Stop testing on animals and start screaming at your legislator. Go for it.
Oh, I don't know. People don't like love
unleashed
screaming.
the Fat Mascara listeners.
I don't know. In my experience, people don't love when you scream at them. I don't know.
So your anger has limits. Okay.
Yeah. It's, you know what? I'm trying to figure it out like we all are. Okay. So, yeah, I don't have any hard answers, but what I do have is a Fabu raise a wand that actually is very much in sync with yours. We are having a mind meld moment. We both have whimsical, fabulous, like Calgon Take Me Away lip balms, okay, or lip products. So I have this Neen lip gloss, Neen created by the
Janine.
great Janine Lobel, who created the Stila, who also got a shout out. It's not like this Stila had a shout out this episode. It's called Glisten Up Lip Gloss. And the name is the funniest name I've heard in like a year. It's just called Bye.
Girl, bye.
Bye. And it's funny because my colleague, Candace, she is our senior buyer at Moda. She always has a giggle because she knows anytime we get something sparkly, she's like, you'll like this. Because she was not a sparkly like makeup person at all. And she's like, oh my God. I was like, Candace, look at this. And she's like, oh my God. Oh, she's not a sparkly makeup person. And when I put it on, she's like, oh, that's nice. So if
Candace, a little sparkle.
Yeah. So if I don't know if I impressed her, but if I showed her that I didn't look whack in this lip gloss, which is like orange sparkles.
So in the packaging, it looks intense.
It looks like a alien lip gloss, like alien princess laser beam.
Yeah.
Lip gloss. But when you put it on, your lips just look pouty, beautiful, kind of pinky iridescent. And it lasts for a little while. And it feels great on the lips.
I love that. I was just thinking about Half Magic's eyeshadows, which like keep selling out. I don't know if you've seen them, but they look so glittery in the pan.
Yeah.
But then when you put them on, it's like that duochrome that just is like,
yeah.
It's subtler. So I think the takeaway is like, try it. You might like it.
Try it. And it's like fun. It's fun to put on makeup that doesn't look like you've given up,
Yes. I feel like the whole theme of the episode has been like, the world is burning, but put on your lip gloss and don't give up.
No, we must rejoice in these fun things that, give us
We contain multitudes. We can give you the information on the FDA and legislation about Sephora Tweens, but we can also enjoy a sparkly lip balm.
We need these. This is our armor. This is our sparkle. This is our joy.
Exactly. We encourage you to call your legislators, get your beauty sleep, and we'll see you on Friday.
We hope you enjoyed the show.
It's your reviews and feedback that help us make the podcast even better. Head over to iTunes to rate and review us, or email your thoughts to info@fatmascara.com.
We also want to answer your beauty questions and hear what products you love. To share a Razor One product review or to ask a beauty question, email us at info@fatmascara.
If you send it as a voice memo file, we can even share your voice on the podcast. You can also do that by leaving us a voice message. Our phone number in the United States is 646-481-8182.
Thanks so much for listening.